Put this affirmation in as many places as possible. Write it down. In my world, nothing ever goes wrong. Look at it each day and let it remind you that everything that is happening to you is in divine order and comes with a lesson. If you can live your life in the spiritual world as a spiritual being, having a human experience, you become the witness to your life. And as you witness it, you say, nothing is going wrong. These aren't problems that I have to be absorbed with. Raj said, and I am that. Nothing ever goes wrong. Meaning, when you live in the spiritual world, you are the observer, and you are not all of the boundaries and all of the forms and all of the things that we call problems. Be conscious of your thoughts, of the makeup of your internal dialogue. Know that any thoughts you repeat that are contrary to your divine eternal essence are keeping you from experiencing the joyous and complete life you deserve. Make an attempt to tame your ego by catching yourself when you persistently use the pronoun I. You can make the decision to take the focus off of yourself. The more you cut back on I, the more personal freedom you will experience. See how many times today you can start your sentences with you rather than I. Instead of making self-references, just inquire about the other person. Remember that you are not your country, you are not your race, you are not your religion. You are an eternal spirit. Seeing yourself as a spiritual being without labels is a way to transform the world and reach a sacred place for all of humanity. Another way of saying that is that you are not what you notice, but you are the noticer of what you notice. If you are engaging in addictive behavior of any kind, the most effective way to rid yourself of the addiction is to go directly to your higher self and turn this problem over to God. That's right. Just turn it over, surrender, knowing that the highest force in the universe is within you. Simply say, God, I am turning this addiction over to you. I've tried everything else. Now I'm trying you. And allow the higher part of yourself and allow God in to help remove those temptations of the senses that you think you can't live without. Practice releasing the emotions of fear and guilt and replace them with love, forgiveness, and kindness. If you're feeling guilty about your past conduct, remind yourself that you are inviting turmoil into your life. Release the guilt by forgiving yourself and vowing to avoid this kind of conduct in the future. Guilt is a waste of your mental energy. Everything that you've done is over. It all had a lesson for you. Using up your present moments, feeling bad about it, is only one more way to keep yourself from being fully and spiritually alive in the present. Send guilt out of your life, beginning now. It's just a thought away. Accept this seeming contradiction, the fact that your body will die and that you are also eternal. Surrender to this fact when someone dies and stop telling yourself that his or her death shouldn't have happened the way that it did. You can surrender and you can grieve. You do not die. That which was never born never dies. You are an eternal spirit, formless. You are transforming your life with this tape. Going beyond form means that you, the real you, the observer within, is ageless and timeless. But that which it is observing or noticing is bound by the need for things to begin and end. Make a daily effort to look upon others without condemnation. Every judgment takes you away from your goal of peace. Keep in mind that you do not define anyone with your judgments, but only define yourself as someone who needs to judge. Or as it says in the New Testament, judge not, lest you too be judged. Give yourself the gift of a silent retreat every day, even if it is just for a few moments. Go back to that key to higher awareness of shutting down that inner dialogue, and know that this is your ticket to peace. You can just simply close your eyes in any given moment and retreat to that inner divine place that Robert Frost described in his poetry. We all sit around in a ring and suppose, while the secret sits in the center and knows. There is a secret within you, and you can only access it through silence. Give yourself a moment of silence. It's the greatest tribute we can ever pay to anyone. A moment of silence. Give yourself the same opportunity of one moment of silence. When you have the choice to be right or to be kind, always choose kind. Remember that you have that choice in all of your daily interactions. And this one key of being kind rather than right, in any interaction that you have, will do more for transforming your life than any course that you could ever take, or any book that you could ever read, or any tape that you could ever listen to. Be kind and give up your need to be right.
Everything begins within before the mansion is built, before the wealth is accumulated. Before the success is broadcasted to the world, it is first imagined. Imagination is not a passive daydream. It is a creative act. It is the divine faculty through which we mold our world to feel like a millionaire before the 1,000 arrive. You must train yourself to imagine differently, deliberately, and persistently. You are not waiting for life to hand you riches. You are commanding reality to express your inner convictions. What you consistently imagine yourself to be, you become, not because imagination is wishful thinking, but because it is the cause of all outward expression. The world you see is not separate from your consciousness. It is shaped by it, colored by it, and projected by it. When you consistently hold the image of yourself as wealthy, successful, and free, you are not pretending you are creating, you are rewriting the unseen blueprint that governs the events of your life. This is not arrogance, it is alignment. You are aligning yourself with the deeper truth, a higher identity, one that already exists within you. The problem is not that people imagine too much, but that they imagine the wrong things. They see debt, so they feel poor. They see struggle, so they assume lack. But the senses only confirm the past. Imagination reveals the future. To truly be wealthy, you must ignore the evidence of the senses and become loyal to your inner vision. This is not denial. It is mastery. It is the secret the world overlooks. Let your imagination become your sanctuary. Visit it often, sit in silence, and ask yourself, what would my life look like if I were already a millionaire? Do not answer with logic. Feel it. Experience it in full color. Walk through your dream home. Sit in the comfort of your favorite chair. See your bank balance reflecting abundance. Hear the words of admiration spoken about you. Feel the security, the power, the joy of having more than enough. This practice is not to get rich in the tradition, since it is to become inwardly rich now. It is to enter the state where money is not something you chase. It is something that flows to you as a natural response to your consciousness. The outer world will catch up, but only if you do not waver. Return daily to your inner sanctuary. Build the habit of seeing yourself as wealthy. Do not do it to impress the world. Do it to awaken the truth within you. Wealth is not something you achieve. It is something you express, and expression begins in imagination. The world will follow your lead when you lead from within. Imagination is not the escape from reality. It is the foundation of it. Dare to imagine boldly, and reality must conform. This is the true power hidden in plain sight. Your imagination is the gateway to reality. The key to transformation is not effort, but identification. You must stop reaching for your desires as if they are somewhere far away. Instead, bring them into the present by assuming they are already yours. Do not wait for the millions to feel abundant. Feel abundant now, and the millions will have no choice but to show up. Living in the end means occupying the state of your fulfilled desire mentally, emotionally, spiritually, before there is any evidence in the physical world. It means thinking from your goal, not about your goal. You do not try to become wealthy, you become it in consciousness. You no longer ask, when will it happen? You begin to live as if it has already happened. This is not pretending it is creating. You are not faking anything. You are faithfully inhabiting a reality that already exists on a higher level. Your job is not to force it into existence, but to assume the position of one who already possesses it. Ask yourself daily, if I were already a millionaire, how would I think, speak, move, and feel? What decisions would I make? What would I no longer worry about? What would I expect? Living in the end requires that you allow these answers to shape your behavior right now, not someday in the future. Your inner world must reflect the truth of your fulfilled desire, even when the outer world has not yet caught up. Living in the end is an act of radical faith. It is choosing to prioritize your inner conviction over external conditions. And here is the paradox. Once you truly live in the end, the outer world begins to rearrange itself to match your new identity. The world cannot help but yield to your dominant state of being. This state must become natural. It should feel so real to you that you no longer question it. You no longer hope for wealth. You move through your day with the confidence of someone who already has it. You no longer seek signs. You are the sign. The world reflects who you are being, not what you are wanting when doubts arise, and they will. Do not fight them. Simply return to the state. Enter the end in your imagination. See it. Feel it. Dwell in it. Let it soothe you and guide you. Let the feeling of the wish fulfilled be your resting place. When this becomes your default state, life begins to bend around your new identity. Understand this. Your desire was not given to torment you. It was given to awaken you. It is a seed from a higher realm, and it comes complete with all that is required for its fulfillment. But you must nourish it by living as though it is already so. So today, make the decision. Stop postponing your wealth. Step into the feeling of already being that which you desire. Don't wait for the end. Live in the end. And from that place, all things are not only possible, they are inevitable. Wealth is not a number in a bank account. It is a state of being. It is not something you acquire. It is something you embody when you assume the feeling of the wish fulfill. You no longer act as someone who is striving for success. You become the person who already possesses it, and in the becoming, the outer world must rearrange itself to mirror your inner transformation. Your emotional state is creative. It sends out a silent signal to the universe, and that signal is always being answered when you feel poor, needy, or lacking. Even if you mask it with positive words, you are still declaring, I do not have, and the world echoes back that truth. But when you feel rich, secure, and abundant, regardless of your current circumstances, you are broadcasting a new signal, one that commands reality to follow. Assumption is not about effort or force. It is about surrendering into the truth of the desired state. To assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled means to dwell in the emotional atmosphere of already having what you desire. It is feeling as though your desire has already been realized, and living from that conviction. You don't wait for evidence to feel differently. You feel differently first, and then the evidence appears. This is the great reversal that most never understand. The world teaches you to react, but creation demands that you lead. You must feel the result before the result can show itself. Feel rich now, and the world must catch up. Imagine what it would feel like if money were no longer a concern. Let that feeling rise in your body. Would you feel relieved, grateful, free? Would you walk differently, speak with more certainty, sleep more peacefully? That feeling is the key. It is not fantasy, it is the blueprint. You must move into that state, occupy it fully, and let it become familiar. And here's the beautiful secret. You can do this now. No one can stop you from entering the state of wealth in your mind. You don't need permission. You don't need the current balance in your bank account to change. You need only to accept emotionally and mentally that you are what you desire to be. When the feeling becomes natural, the world responds. It may not happen instantly, but it must happen. The laws of creation are exact. Persist in the assumption and do not let temporary appearances shake your inner conviction. The longer you remain in the state, the more inevitable its expression becomes. So practice this daily. Sit quietly, close your eyes, and step into the version of you who is already rich. Not tomorrow, not later now. Feel the warmth of abundance, the confidence, the calm power of wealth. Let it clothe your mind. Let it become who you are. You are not chasing wealth. You are revealing it. The treasure is already within. You assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled, and your world will reshape itself in perfect harmony with the truth. You now dare to feel one of the greatest obstacles to manifestation is the mind's insistence on controlling the past. It wants to know how everything will happen, when it will arrive, and through whom. But that need to micromanage life is what keeps your desire at arm's length. The truth is, the path to $1,000 is not your concern. It is not your job to figure out how abundance will reach you. Your only responsibility is to remain loyal to the state of already being wealthy. Desire does not come alone. It carries with it the means of its own fulfillment. The moment you truly desire something, and assume it has already done, the unseen begins to move. And visible currents shift people, opportunities and events begin to align. But these movements happen beyond your line of sight. You may not see the orchestration, but it is happening nonetheless. When you constantly ask how, you are declaring that you do not trust the process. You are telling the universe, I do not believe this can happen unless I control every step. And so you block the flow, you introduce doubt, tension, and fear. You step out of the end state and into the waiting state. And in doing so, you delay your own manifestation. Eventually, detachment from the how is not indifference, it is wisdom. It is knowing that your imagination is the seed, and your assumption is the soil. Once planted, your only job is to remain faithful to what you've created within. You do not dig up the seed to check if it's growing. You water it with confidence. You nourish it with repetition. You protect it from dour. Faith is demonstrated by rest. If you truly believed you were already wealthy, you wouldn't worry about the mechanics. You wouldn't obsess over the next step. You would trust that all things are working for your good, even if you cannot yet see how. No. You would move with quite certainty. You would live your life with a calm assurance that what you've imagined is already on its way. Miracles often arrive through the most ordinary channels. You may receive a phone call, a job offer, a new connection, or even a seemingly random idea. But these are not accidents. They are the result of your inner state. Do not try to predict how it will unfold. Simply remain in the feeling of being wealthy now, and allow the path to reveal itself in its own time and form. Let go of the timeline. Let go of the need to plan every detail. Let go of the urge to doubt when things seem still. Trust that the stillness is not stagnation. It is preparation. The invisible is organizing on your behalf. Doors will open, and you will know which one to walk through when the moment comes. Stay loyal to the end. That is your only task. Feel it, live it, believe it. The how will take care of itself. Life is not asking you to control it, only to align with it. Detach from the how, and you will witness the impossible become inevitable. Words are not just sounds. They are declarations of identity. Every time you speak, whether aloud or silently in your mind, you are casting a vote for the version of yourself you believe in. If you want to experience the life of a millionaire, you must begin to speak from that reality. Not about it as a distant goal, but from it as a present truth. There is a powerful difference between saying one day I'll be rich and saying I am wealthy now. The former places your desire in the future, always just out of reach. The latter anchors it in the present, where creation actually occurs. You are not trying to become something, you are affirming that you already are. This is where most people go wrong. They speak about what they want, complain about what they don't have, and talk about lack as if it were unchangeable. They beg, wish, and hope, not realizing that these postures only reinforce their current state. But to truly shift your reality, you must speak from the place you wish to occupy. You must claim it in thought, word, and feeling. Imagine the inner dialogue of someone who already possesses great wealth. Would they worry about bills? Would they obsess over price tags? Would they speak in terms of struggle and limitation? No. Their words would reflect confidence, peace, generosity, and abundance. Begin to speak in this way, and you align your vibration with the very reality you wish to enter. Let your inner conversations be filled with certainty, not desire. When you talk to yourself, and you do all day long, let those quiet conversations reflect your new identity. Say to yourself, I always have more than enough. Money flows easily to me. I make decisions from a place of power. I am blessed beyond measure. You are not lying. Even when appearances contradict, your words persist. Speak from the end result, not from the temporary facts. Creation is not confirmed by what you see. It is confirmed by what you declare. You are not waiting for proof. You are giving life to truth. When challenges arise, do not fall back into old patterns of speech. Speak as the version of yourself who already knows how this story ends. You are not the character trying to win. You are the one who has already won. Let your tone, your energy, your words reflect that reality. Speak with calm authority. Speak with joy. Speak with unshakable belief. Every word you speak carves out your future. Use them wisely. Stop telling the story of struggle. Start telling the story of success. Let the language of wealth become natural to you, not just in affirmations, but in your ordinary conversations, in your private thoughts, and in your daily choices. You don't need the world to validate you. You need only to remain true to the version of yourself that already exists in imagination. Speak from it and life will follow your voice. The universe responds to identity, not effort. So speak now, not as someone who hopes to be a millionaire, but as one who already is. Manifestation is not a momentary flash of inspiration. It is a steady, deliberate act of faith. The difference between those who manifest their desires and those who fall short is not talent, luck, or external circumstances. It is persistence. Doubt delays, but persistence creates. You must remain loyal to your imagined reality until it becomes the only truth you recognize. To persist means to occupy the state of your fulfilled desire again and again, regardless of what your senses tell you. The world around you may scream the opposite of your vision. Your bank account might not yet reflect abundance. Circumstances may appear unchanged, but the persistent one does not waver. They continue to walk, speak, and feel as though their desire is already fat. This is the secret. What you consistently accept as true within must eventually become true. Without, the world cannot resist your sustained inner conviction. But most people give up too soon. They plant the seed of wealth in their imagination, but when results don't appear instantly, they dig it up with doubt. They let the visible override the invisible. And so they start over again and again, never allowing the new state to take root. But if you will persist quietly, confidently, without needing evidence, you will see your assumption harden into fact. It may come slowly at first, like a distant echo, a small shift here, a new opportunity there. But soon the momentum builds. Life begins to reshape itself around your dominant state. The outer world conforms to the inner blueprint. Persistence is not about force, it's about faithfulness. You are remaining faithful to your new identity, not because you are trying to make something happen, but because you know it already has. There is nothing to chase, only something to become. You live as the millionaire now. Not tomorrow, not someday, but now you buy in your imagination. You live in gratitude. You think from abundance. You do this again and again until it becomes natural, and when it becomes natural, it becomes real. With great manifestation begins with persistence. The dreamer holds to their dream through silence, through setbacks, through appearances. They trust the unseen more than the seen. They speak wealth into being even when no one else sees it. They are not moved by facts. They are anchored in truth, and that truth is simple. You already are what you desire to be. It is done. The only thing left is to remain in that knowing long enough for the outer world to catch up. You don't need to beg, hustle, or prove anything. You only need to persist. So hold the image, feel the feeling, speak the words, walk in the assumption and do it until there is no room for doubt, until it becomes effortless, until the inner becomes outer. Reality will bend, the world will conform, and what once lived only in your imagination will stand before you as fact. So now you know. The millionaire version of you is not waiting somewhere in the distance. It is here, now ready to be claimed. Your wealth does not begin with action, but with being. You become it in thought. You assume it in feeling. You express it in speech, and you remain faithful to it in imagination until the unseen becomes seen. Live in the end. Assume the feeling. Detach from the how. Speak from it. Persist without wavering. This is the divine formula. This is the path walked by those who understand that reality begins within, no matter where you are right now. Know this, your current circumstances are not the final word. You are the operant power. The authority over your life rests in your ability to feel a new state, to inhabit it, and to trust it until it becomes flesh. Dare to believe that what you imagine is more real than what you see. Dare to remain faithful to your inner vision in a world that insists you be realistic, and dare above all to feel. Now what you once reserved for the future, because when you feel it now, the future must obey. Thank you. Thank you for opening your heart to this message. Thank you for daring to dream bigger. And thank you for choosing right now to step into the most powerful truth of all. You already are what you desire to be. The rest is just catching up.
My dear, wonderful friends, tonight I shall share with you the most powerful secret in all of creation. How to speak to yourself in a way that will completely transform your world in just 3 days. Not in 3 months, not in 3 years, but in 3 days. For you see, the power of your inner conversation is absolute, and it is the only true creative power in the universe. Now, when I tell you to talk to yourself, I am not speaking of the idle chatter that most engage in throughout their day. I speak of that inner conversation that is deliberate, conscious, and aligned with your desired state. For your inner conversation is your consciousness externalized, and your consciousness is God. Consider the words of Scripture. In the beginning was the Word. These words are not speaking of some external deity's utterance. They speak of your inner word, your inner conversation. For you are the operant power, and your inner conversation is the word that creates all things. Many of you come to me asking, Wayne, how long must I wait to see my desires manifest? And I tell you now, give yourself 3 days of proper inner conversation, and you will see your world begin to transform. For 3 is the number of completion in Scripture. And when you maintain the proper inner conversation for 3 days, you set in motion forces beyond your current understanding. Let me share with you exactly how to conduct this inner conversation. First, you must understand that your inner conversation must be from the end. You do not speak of what you want to be true. You speak as though what you desire is already true. This is the great secret that most of the world has missed. When you wake in the morning of your first day, your inner conversation must be from the state of your wish fulfilled. If you desire wealth, your inner conversation must be that of a wealthy person. If you desire health, your inner conversation must be that of a healthy person. If you desire love, your inner conversation must be that of someone who is deeply loved. But then this is crucial. Your inner conversation must feel natural. It must not be strained or forced, for feeling is the secret. And your inner conversation must be accompanied by the feeling of naturalness. Let me give you a perfect example from Scripture. When David spoke to Goliath, his inner conversation was not, I hope I can win or I will try my best. His inner conversation was from the state of victory already achieved. This is why he could say with complete conviction, this day will the Lord deliver thee into mine hand. Now, for these 3 days, you must guard your inner conversation as though your life depends upon it. Because it does. Every time you catch yourself engaging in inner conversation that contradicts your desired state, you must immediately revise it. This is not a suggestion. This is a command if you wish to see your world transform. Consider this. Every outer conversation, if you have, is first an inner conversation. Every relationship you have is first an inner conversation. Every circumstance in your life is first an inner conversation. Therefore, by changing your inner conversation for just 3 days, you literally change the entire substance from which your world is created. Let me tell you how to structure your inner conversation throughout these 3 days. In the morning, your first inner words must be from the state of your wish fulfilled before you open your eyes, before you move a muscle. Engage in the inner conversation of the person you wish to be. If you desire wealth, your inner conversation might be, I am so grateful for my abundant life. Money flows to me easily and continuously. I am surrounded by prosperity. But remember, these words must not be mere affirmations. They must be spoken with the feeling of knowing that they are already true. Throughout your day, your inner conversation must maintain the same level of conviction. When challenges arise, and they will arise, your inner conversation must remain steadfast. If someone speaks of lack, your inner conversation must be of abundance. If someone speaks of illness, your inner conversation must be of health. This is where most fail in their attempt to change their world. They allow their inner conversation to be pulled into the current circumstances rather than maintaining the conversation of their desired state. But I tell you now, circumstances have no power over your inner conversation unless you give them that power. For these 3 days, you must be relentless in maintaining your new inner conversation. When you walk down the street, your inner conversation must be from your desired state. When you eat your meals, your inner conversation must be from your desired state. When you prepare for sleep, your inner conversation must be from your desired state. Let me share with you a principle that I have tested and proven countless times. Your inner conversation is the only reality. Everything else, absolutely everything, is a shadow of your inner conversation pushed out. Therefore, when you maintain the proper inner conversation for 3 days, you literally create a new world. Many of you may be thinking, but Wayne, 3 days seems too short a time to change my entire world. Let me remind you of the story of Jonah. How long was he in the belly of the whale? 3 days. And after 3 days, he was transformed, and his world was transformed. This is not coincidence, my dear friends. This is law. 3 days of proper inner conversation is all that is required to set in motion the forces that will transform your world. But these must be 3 complete days, not 3 days of wavering between states. During these 3 days, you must guard your inner conversation, not just in your waking hours, but as you fall asleep. For the last inner conversation you have before sleep is particularly powerful. It continues to echo through your subconscious mind throughout your sleep. Therefore, as you prepare for sleep during these 3 days, your inner conversation must be perfectly aligned with your desired state. If you desire a successful business, your inner conversation might be, I am so grateful for my thriving business. My customers are delighted with our services. Profits increase continuously. But remember, and this is crucial, your inner conversation must be accompanied by the feeling of naturalness. It must feel as natural to have this conversation as it feels to speak of what you had for breakfast. This is where the power lies, not in the words themselves, but in the feeling of naturalness that accompanies them. Let me share with you another principle. Your inner conversation creates your outer conversations. Therefore, during these 3 days, you must be particularly vigilant about your outer conversations as well. They must align with your new inner conversation. If someone asks you how you are, your response must come from your desired state. If someone speaks to you about problems or difficulties, your response must come from your desired state. Your outer conversation must be a perfect reflection of your new inner conversation. Many of you may find this challenging at first. You may be tempted to engage in conversations about current circumstances rather than your desired state. But I tell you now, this is where your power lies in maintaining your new conversation, regardless of appearances. Consider the story of Jesus walking on water. What was his inner conversation? Was it about the impossibility of walking on water? Was it about the danger of the storms? No, his inner conversation was from the state of mastery over all natural laws, and his outer world had to conform to this inner conversation. During these 3 days, you must maintain the same level of conviction in your inner conversation. You must speak to yourself as though your desired state is already your reality, not as though it will be, not as though it might be, but as though it is. Let me share with you how to handle doubts when they arise during these 3 days, and they will arise. When a doubt appears in your mind, do not fight it. Instead, immediately revise your inner conversation. If you catch yourself saying inwardly, this isn't working, immediately revise it too. Everything is working perfectly. My world is transforming now. This revision must be immediate and complete. You cannot allow doubt to linger in your inner conversation. For remember, your inner conversation is the only reality. Therefore, a doubting inner conversation will create a doubting outer reality. Throughout these 3 days, your inner conversation must be dominated by gratitude. Not gratitude for what you hope will come, but gratitude for what is already yours in your desired state. This gratitude must be part of your inner conversation throughout the day. When you wake in the morning, your inner conversation must be filled with gratitude. When you go about your daily activities, your inner conversation must be filled with gratitude. When you prepare for sleep, your inner conversation must be filled with gratitude. Let me share with you another principle. Your inner conversation creates your inner states, and your inner states create your outer world. Therefore, during these 3 days, your inner conversation must create and maintain the inner state of your wish fulfilled. If you desire wealth, your inner conversation must create and maintain the inner state of wealth. Consciousness. If you desire health, your inner conversation must create and maintain the inner state of health. Consciousness. If you desire love, your inner conversation must create and maintain the inner state of being loved. Many of you may be wondering what to do if you slip in your inner conversation during these 3 days. Let me be very clear. You must not condemn yourself. Instead, immediately revise the conversation. Remember, you are training yourself to maintain a new inner conversation. And like any training, it requires practice. During these 3 days, your inner conversation must be your primary focus. Every other activity must be secondary to maintaining your new inner conversation. For you are literally recreating your world through this conversation. Let me share with you how to structure your inner conversation for specific desires. If you desire a new home, your inner conversation might be, I love living in my beautiful new home. Everything about it is perfect for me. If you desire a promotion, your inner conversation might be, I am so grateful for my new position. It's everything I desired and more. But remember, these are not mere words. They must be accompanied by the feeling of living in that new home, the feeling of working in that new position. Fulfilling is the secret, and your inner conversation must generate the feeling of your wish fulfilled. Throughout these 3 days, your inner conversation must be specific. Vague inner conversation creates vague results. Therefore, speak to yourself with clarity about your desired state. Be specific in your inner conversation about what you are grateful for, what you are experiencing, what you are enjoying in your desired state. Let me share with you another principle. Your inner conversation creates self-concept, and your self-concept creates your world. Therefore, during these 3 days, your inner conversation must be about who you are, not just what you have. If you desire success, your inner conversation must be about being a successful person, not just about having success. If you desire abundance, your inner conversation must be about being an abundant person, not just about having money. If you desire love, your inner conversation must be about being a loved person, not just about having a relationship. During these 3 days, your inner conversation must be continuous, not in the sense of constant chatter, but in the sense of consistent alignment with your desired state. Every time you become aware of your inner conversation, it must be from your desired state. Let me share with you how to maintain this continuity. Set reminders for yourself throughout the day. Every time you look at your watch, every time you eat a meal, every time you enter a room, let these be triggers to check your inner conversation. But remember, your inner conversation must not be mechanical. It must be aligned with feeling rich with the emotion of your desired state. For it is the feeling that gives power to your inner conversation. Throughout these 3 days, your inner conversation must be sovereign. You must not allow anyone or anything to dictate your inner conversation. Not circumstances, not other people's opinions, not past experiences. Nothing must have power over your inner conversation except you. Let me share with you another principle. Your inner conversation creates your expectations, and your expectations create your experience. Therefore, during these 3 days, your inner conversation must create the highest expectations of good for yourself. Many of you may be thinking, but Wayne, what if my desired state seems impossible? Let me remind you, nothing is impossible. To your inner conversation. Your inner conversation is God in action, and to God, all things are possible. During these 3 days, your inner conversation must be about possibility, not probability. You must speak to yourself from the state of your wish fulfilled, regardless of how probable or improbable may seem to your rational mind. Let me share with you how to handle apparent failures during these 3 days. If something happens that seems to contradict your desired state, your inner conversation must remain unchanged. You must speak to yourself as though the seeming failure is actually part of the perfect unfolding of your desire. Remember, your inner conversation is creating your reality, not the other way around. Therefore, no external circumstance has the power to change your inner conversation unless you give it that power. Throughout these 3 days, your inner conversation must be your constant companion. It must be the lens through which you view every experience, the filter through which you interpret every event, the standard by which you measure every circumstance. Let me share with you another principle. Your inner conversation creates a belief system, and your belief system creates your reality. Therefore, during these 3 days, your inner conversation must consistently reinforce the beliefs that support your desired state. During these 3 days, your inner conversation must be a perfect reflection of the person you wish to be. You must speak to yourself as that person would speak. Think as that person would think. Feel as that person would feel. Let me share with you how to maintain this level of consciousness. When you catch yourself speaking from your old state, immediately ask yourself, how would I be speaking to myself if I were already the person I wish to be? Then revise your inner conversation accordingly. Throughout these 3 days, your inner conversation must be about what is not, what was, or what might be. You must speak to yourself in the present tense from the state of your wish fulfilled. This is crucial for the manifestation of your desire. Let me share with you another principle. Your inner conversation creates future, but it does so by creating your present. Therefore, during these 3 days, your inner conversation must make your desired future your present reality. Many of you may be wondering what will happen after these 3 days. Let me tell you, if you have maintained the proper inner conversation for 3 days, you will have set in motion forces that must result in the manifestation of your desire. During these 3 days, your inner conversation must be your primary tool for creation. Every other method, every other technique, every other approach must be secondary to maintaining your new inner conversation. Let me share with you how to know if your inner conversation is correct. If it feels natural, if it feels real, if it feels true, even in the face of contrary evidence, then your inner conversation is correct. Throughout these 3 days, your inner conversation must be protected like a precious jewel. You must guard it against doubt, against fear, against negativity. For your inner conversation is the very substance from which your world is created. Let me share with you another principle. Your inner conversation creates a relationship with yourself, and your relationship with yourself creates all other relationships. Therefore, during these 3 days, your inner conversation must reflect the highest, most loving relationship with yourself. During these 3 days, your inner conversation must be your sacred practice. You must treat it with the same reverence that a priest treats his prayers, that a scientist treats his experiments, that an artist treats his creations. Let me share with you how to maintain this level of devotion. See your inner conversation as your direct connection to the creative power of the universe. For that is exactly what it is, your consciousness in action creating your world. Throughout these 3 days, your inner conversation must be your constant reminder of who you really are, the operant power in your world, the creator of reality, the God of your uniqueness. And that, my dear friends, is how you must talk to yourself for 3 days if you wish to transform your world. Not sometimes, not occasionally, but consistently, continuously, constantly. For your inner conversation is the Word of God in action, and it cannot return void. Remember this, your world is your inner conversation pushed out. Therefore, guard your inner conversation for these 3 days, as though your life depends upon it, because it does. So what will you do with this knowledge? Will you continue with your old inner conversation, creating the same results you've always created? Or will you begin today, this moment, to maintain a new inner conversation that must create a new world? The choice is yours, but the law is absolute. Your inner conversation creates your reality. Therefore, speak to yourself for 3 days as though your desires are already fulfilled, and watch your world transform. That's the message I want to leave you tonight. Not because it's easy, but because it's true. Not because it's simple, but because it's powerful. Not because it's what you expected to hear, but because it's what you needed to hear. Remember, 3 days of proper inner conversation will transform your world every single time. And isn't that worth thinking about?